It doesn't hurt because they left. It hurts because they didn't say why. They just pulled away, slowly, quietly, without warning, without explanation. And now you're stuck wondering what you did, replaying every word, every moment, as if love is a test you failed. But here's what no one tells you. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes people leave because they don't know how to stay. And their silence. It's not your punishment, it's their pattern. Still, it hurts, it confuses, it erodes your peace from the inside out. So if you're in that place now, feeling forgotten, unworthy, broken, stay with me, because by the end, you'll stop chasing answers from people who ran and start hearing the quiet truth that's been waiting inside you all along. This isn't a video about getting revenge or winning them back or pretending you don't care. This is about facing the most uncomfortable truth of I. Almost sometimes the silence they give you is the closure they'll never say out loud. And the work? It's not about fixing them, it's about choosing you again and again, even in the echo of their absence. So in this video, we'll walk through 9 powerful Stoic lessons to help you navigate the pain of being ignored and the power of reclaiming your peace. Each lesson isn't theory, it's practice, a lens, a path back to center, without begging, without chasing, without breaking yourself to be enough for someone who never chose to stay. And if you stay till the end, I'll share one final mindset shift that will completely transform how you handle being ghosted forever. Let's begin. Mariella used to give everything, her time, her energy, her softness. She was the first to listen, the last to judge, the one who stayed even when it hurt. And one day, the people she gave most to started to drift. Fewer texts, shorter replies, excuses instead of time, silence instead of care. No explanation, just distance. Mariella blamed herself. Was I too much? Too available? Not enough. Until one evening, she walked into a quiet forest, trying to escape her thoughts, and there she saw it, a giant still tree, majestic, but empty, no birds, no songs, just quiet. She asked an old man nearby, "Why don't the birds come here anymore?" He looked at her and said, "Because the tree kept giving shade, even when no one needed it. It never asked for anything. So they stopped seeing it, until it became invisible." That night, Mariella understood. Sometimes it's not that you weren't enough, it's that you kept showing up for people who stopped noticing your presence. Just like that tree, you don't have to keep giving until you disappear. Your silence matters, your space matters, and your value was never measured by who stays. Sometimes you grow stronger when you stand alone. Lesson number 1, don't internalize their silence. They stop responding, they pull away, they don't call, they don't explain, and you start asking, what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Am I not worth a reply? But here's the truth. Their silence doesn't always reflect your failure. Sometimes it reveals their limits. People go quiet because they're uncomfortable with confrontation, because they're overwhelmed, because they don't have the emotional tools to be honest. And instead of owning that, they vanish. Not because you're hard to love, but because they're unequipped to love well. The Stoics taught this clearly. You cannot control someone else's reactions, but you can control what you make of them. So here's your practice. When someone pulls away, pause, and instead of spiraling inward, say to yourself, their silence is theirs. I don't need to fill it with self-blame. Because the most dangerous thing you can do when someone distances from you is to turn their lack of communication into a narrative about your worth. You are not defined by who goes quiet. You are strengthened by how you respond. Lesson number 2. Rebuild self-esteem from within when someone pulls away from you. something strange happens inside. It's not just sadness, it's not just confusion, it's this quiet, invisible erosion of your sense of worth. Suddenly, you start questioning just the relationship, but yourself. You look in the mirror and ask, am I too much, too intense, too sensitive? You go through texts, analyze your tone, replay every moment, trying to find the crack that made them slip away, and that's where it begins, the quiet collapse of self-esteem. But here's what the Stoics would remind you. Your value is not something they hand you when they choose you, it's something you protect, even when they don't. Because the truth is, self-esteem built on external feedback is like building a home on shifting sand. It feels solid until someone walks away, and everything collapses. So here's your practice. You must start building again, but this time from within. Rebuild your sense of self based on actions you respect, on thoughts you believe, on standards you define. Ask yourself daily, what would a person I respect do with this pain? Then do that, not to impress, not to prove, but to remember. You are not the echo of someone else's rejection. You are the architect of your own worth. And every act of self-respect, no matter how small, is a brick in the home that no silence can shake. Lesson number 3, redefine your worth. Rejection feels personal, especially when it's silent, especially when it comes from someone you once felt safe with. And after they distance themselves, you don't just grieve the connection, you start grieving your sense of value. Why? Because we've been taught since we were young that being chosen means being enough. So when they pull away, you start wondering, if they don't want me, am I even worth wanting? But here's the mistake. You're measuring your worth with someone else's ruler, a ruler that was never built to fit the shape of your soul. And that has to change. The Stoics knew this. What is external is not who you are. You are not defined by affection, attention, or approval. You are defined by the quality of your character, by the choices you make when no one is watching, by how you treat yourself when others forget how to. So here's your practice. Redefine your worth with your own metrics, not who texts back, not who stays, but did I live with integrity today? Did I act from love for myself? Did I protect my peace without apology? Because your worth is not a reaction, it's a declaration, quiet, unshakable, sacred. And anyone who needs you to shrink in order to love you is not worth the pieces they leave behind. Lesson for 4. Master the art of space when they pull away. Most people do the opposite. They chase, they call, they text again and again, not out of confidence, but out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing control, fear of being forgotten. But here's the Stoic truth. Space isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's the only path back to yourself. We've been conditioned to think that closeness means security, that if someone pulls back, we must fill the gap or lose them, but that's not connection, that's dependency. So here's your practice. Instead of rushing in to close the space, let it exist. Feel the discomfort, sit with the silence, and then ask yourself, what does this space have to teach me? Because space reveals truth. If they come back, it's because of who you are, not because you begged, not because you convinced. If they stay away, then their presence was never yours to hold. And either way, you win, because you stayed grounded, stayed dignified. You gave them the space, but you didn't give them your power. So next time you feel the urge to close the gap, pause and remember, the one who can hold space without falling apart is the one who truly owns themselves. Lesson number 5. Don't chase. Stay centered when someone pulls away. The instinct is almost automatic. Chase. Text them. Double message. Post. Something they'll see. Find a way, any way, to pull them back in. But let's be honest. Chasing doesn't feel like strength. It feels like panic in motion. Because deep down, you're not really running toward them. You're running away from the fear of not being enough. But here's what the Stoics knew. Your center is your greatest source of power. When you're centered, you don't react. You respond. You don't beg for connection. You invite it through calm, stable presence. So here's your practice. Instead of reaching out, reach in. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of in this silence? What part of me feels the urge to chase? Then sit with it, hold it, and refuse to move until your next step comes from clarity, not anxiety. Because when you chase, you abandon your post. You leave your peace to follow uncertainty. But when you stay centered, you remind the world and yourself that you are not a reaction. You are a force. And the people who truly belong in your life will never need to be chased. They will feel your energy and choose to stay close to it. Lesson number 6. Speak without attacking. Sometimes silence isn't the hardest part. It's when they finally answer. And you feel the rage boiling inside. You want to let it out. Every word you've swallowed, every hurt you've buried, every question that was never answered, and the urge is real. To blame, to shame, to burn it all down with one final message. But here's what the Stoics teach us. Anger is a fire, and once it's loose, it burns you first. So what do you do with all that pain? You speak, but you speak from center, not from chaos. You express, but not to destroy, to bring clarity, because the goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to remain in control of your own energy. Here's your practice. When the moment comes, don't attack, don't beg, don't perform. Speak like this. I felt hurt when you pulled away, not because I need your validation, but because I value connection and I deserve honesty. Say what's true, say it once, say it calmly, then step back, because real power isn't loud, it's grounded, it's still. And when you speak without attacking, you don't just protect your peace, you protect your dignity. Let them remember not your rage, but your strength. Lesson number 7. Stop begging for attention. Let's be honest. You saw the message was read, no reply. You watched them view your story, no reaction. You posted something subtle, still nothing. So what do? You try harder, change your tone, soften your words. Maybe if you're a little more patient, a little less intense. Maybe they'll finally notice, finally care, finally choose you. But here's the truth. Attention that has to be begged for was never yours to begin with. Every time you bend, you reinforce the lie that you must perform. To be worthy, that love is earned by shrinking. That presence must be bought with silence. But that's not love, that's emotional poverty. And the Stoics remind us, we are not here to beg for crumbs from the tables of people who feast on our insecurity. So here's your practice. Notice the urge to reach, pause, and ask yourself, what part of me still believes that love must be chased? Then remind that part. I don't chase, I attract, I align, I stand. Because when you stop begging for attention, you make space for real connection to find you. And those who only noticed you when you tried harder, let them miss the version of you who finally stopped begging. Lesson number 8. Focus on personal growth. It's easy to make them the center of your story. What they said, what they did, what they didn't do. Their silence becomes the soundtrack to your day. Their absence, the E. weight you carry in every room you walk into. But here's what you need to hear. The pain is real, but the focus is misplaced. Because the longer you fixate on them, the more you forget yourself, and that's where the damage compounds. So the Stoics offer this wisdom. When the world feels outside your control, return to what is. Return to you. Here's your practice. Start with one question. Who do I want to become after this pain? Then build, not for revenge, not to prove anything, but to rise on your own terms. Read, train, rest, reflect, create. Fill your days with small, clear, quiet acts that remind your nervous system. I am not abandoned, I am investing. Because personal growth isn't a distraction, it's the reclamation of identity, and the moment you stop orbiting their silence and start cultivating your own voice, that's the day they lose the power to define your story. Lesson number 9, rediscover yourself when someone walks away. You don't just lose the connection, you start losing little pieces of who you were, the way you laughed, the way you trusted, the way you saw yourself through their eyes. And slowly, you forget. Who were you before you needed to be needed, before you were chosen just to be left? That's the part that needs healing, not the relationship, not the unanswered text, but the you that you left behind in the pursuit of being loved. So here's your final Stoic practice. Go find that version of you again, the one who lit up from the inside, the one who created without an audience, the one who rested without guilt. You are not broken, you are not empty, you are not hard to love. You've just spent too long looking for your reflection in the eyes of people who couldn't see you. Now it's time to return, to remember, to rebuild, to rise, because rediscovery isn't a reset, it's a reclamation. And the most beautiful part, you're not becoming someone new. You're coming home to the person you were always meant to be. You thought you were being ignored, but what you were really being given was a mirror to see what you'd been tolerating, who you'd been chasing, and how far you'd drifted from yourself. This wasn't abandonment, it was awakening. Because silence doesn't mean you're worthless. Distance doesn't mean you're unlovable. It just means the chapter that relied on their presence is over. Now comes the real work, to rebuild your voice without waiting for theirs. To reclaim your worth without their validation. To remember that your life was never meant to revolve around someone who didn't choose to stay. This is the Stoic path. Quiet strength, inner clarity, radical peace. So if this helped you realign, subscribe, and walk this journey of healing with us. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you'll stop chasing so you can start returning to yourself? And when you're ready, watch this next. When people use you and disappear, a Stoic way to reclaim power. Thanks for rediscovering your voice, for reclaiming your center, and for becoming a little stronger, a little wiser, and a lot more Stoic today.